Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. Woohoo! Party! Looks like we got a pretty full lounge here this morning, so nice to see everybody. And I suppose we've got the YouTube page. Probably should have that up just to be safe. Where are we going to do that? We'll do that over here. And there we are on YouTube. A few people over there. Hello. Hello, Christopher. Nice to see you. So just an FYI, guys, I do have an appointment with government people at 11 o'clock on the North Shore. So that means got to basically end this on time. Good luck, Brian. But anyway, we'll try our best. But if we're getting close to that time, I'm going to have to sort of wind it up. But anyway, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Frivolity. Great to see the mayor of Vienna made it back to Vienna and his whole entourage. I think he had like a fleet of 20 jets or something that escorted him across the states and back home. But how you doing this morning, Alex?
I'm doing pretty good, Brian. How are you?
Excellent. And actually, maybe the fresh air of Vienna has helped with Alex's cold. He's sounding a lot better, so that's good. We kind of tentatively plan to have Julian come in and do a report for you guys on Thursdays, but we'll see how that goes. I don't see any response from him right now, so I have a funny feeling he might have fallen asleep. But if we're lucky, he will join us and give us a little update on what he's seeing in the market. I don't think there's a heck of a lot of change going on. But I'll just sort of give you my overview of what I'm seeing in the market. And if anybody feels like chiming in, I know, Jamie, I see you here. You were very active in the lounge this morning watching the econs coming out. And if I understand correctly, some of the European data was a bit weak of late. And the ECB maybe has changed their tone, and they might be going back to quantitative easing kind of environment again. So, if you feel like chiming in while I'm blabbing away here, feel free to add your 2 cents. We do have Thomas in the call here this morning, but I think he's acting as more of a spectator today than a contributor. So, but by all means, Thomas, if you happen to see something that I'm blabbing on about and you'd like to add your 2 cents, feel free to chime in. And of course, we've got our we got a whole bunch of OGers on the site. Actually, and what was really cool was this morning I noticed that James and Garrett sort of, he just flies underneath the radar. Another excellent OGer on the site. They had a little hangout going with their previous tutorial group this morning, and I popped in and I got to see the Burgermeister, which put a big smile on my face. And also, Will, it was great seeing you this morning in there and just chatting a little bit. And if anything, Will wanted to, I don't know whether he wanted to or not, but a reminder that we do have our RRSP contribution deadlines coming up here in Canada for our retirement plans. And the stock market has treated Brian very well here the past couple of days, so I'm feeling optimistic. But we should maybe, Will, if you even want to quarterback it, just sort of pass the word out. We should maybe have another one of those RSP meetings here in the not too distant future. That would probably be a good idea. Yeah. So, just FYI, if you're here in Canada and you're thinking about doing RSPs, Sheila, if you're watching this later on, we'd love to see you again. Of course, those people internationally that are interested in Canadian stocks, some of them have just treated us really, really well lately. So you're more than welcome to join us where we just sort of review what we're doing in the stock market for registered accounts. But anyway, I'll just see if I can do a quick overview of what I'm seeing in the market this morning. Then we'll pop on over to crypto, sort of see what's going on there. Hi, Chris. Nice to see you, Slick. And hopefully just give you a nice little sort of summary of what's going on in the market and what we should be looking for here in the not too distant future. So why don't we start at the top? Once upon a time in a land far, far away, of course, our U.S. dollar index is humming and hawing about what it wants to do. I saw some more econs coming out of the States, kind of showing that housing market's still kind of soft. I saw that the mortgage rates in the States for houses are going down, so they're actually hoping that maybe that helps this spring season. Frankly speaking, I don't know. But, the trend, quote unquote, as measured by a moving average, still pointing up for the US dollar, and, euro probably the most significant driver. I think it makes up about 35% of the US dollar index. Just recently put in another M here and is testing these lows. And of course, the trend signal is still down. Japanese yen, of course, had an absolutely beautiful double bottom come in there back in November, December, when everybody was crapping their pants in the US equity markets. Is that trade over? Could be. We're back down into moving average support. So we'll keep an eye on the yen here going forward. Interesting to see that Jamie's British pound is trying to buck the trend. Maybe even head and shoulders patterns trying to form here. We'll keep an eye on that. Interesting to see. Commodity currencies, I was a bit surprised recently to actually see that things like the Russian ruble and the South African rand are trying to reverse course here. Australia, though, if I understand correctly, especially from Jamie's recent reports, Australia is having a bit of a slog here. And I would imagine, if you are interested in playing Australia, probably best just to keep an eye on China. Do we start hearing anecdotal signs that they've turned the corner? That's probably when you're going to see Australia turn. And then good old Canuck buck, surge to new lows, dead cat bounce, trend still technically down. Just waffling here, not really any chart patterns or anything to work with off of here at the moment. So currencies, Thomas and I, Thomas basically, through these recent reports has been talking about the sort of chop. And really, when I look at the US dollar index, what I really see here, and, this is probably a great testament to you just can't push a chain. It looks to me like off of sort of like the weekly basis that we've just established a trading range now. And it's interesting because there's a cryptocurrency that's basically doing the same thing. And we had that song playing for Constantinople. And you could argue, once we sort of establish ranges, the market just can play back and forth within this range. And really not a heck of a lot changes here. So slow and steady, right? There's really no hurry. There's no push. The trend is still technically up, but you can see it waffling. If we do start to roll over and break, then we can start thinking about things like euro heading higher and yen heading higher. But to be honest with you, and Jamie sort of talked about this recently, right now it's almost like the Americans, their poop stinks the least. It's not really that everything is just hunky-dory in the States and it's wonderful. It's just that all these other economies are just hemorrhaging right now. If we pop on over to the interest rate market, speaking of hemorrhaging, euro and Japanese bonds have huge. Hello. Did somebody want to add something to the equation? Okay. Interest rate environment to me looks like maybe things have gotten a little bit too far here for things like the Japanese and the Germans. We might see a bit of a pullback here. And I was a bit surprised at this morning. I pull up my my interest rate spreads charts, and you can see these are bond prices looking very heavy. These are the yields looking very uppy. And interestingly enough, we have an odd situation here where corporate short-term interest rates are still technically falling. So we actually have a situation where the yield curve is actually steepening right now. So go figure. And if anything, this is such a great testament to you don't know what the hell's going to happen in the market. So don't call yield and curve inversion until it actually comes in. We might go through a situation where the spreads actually widen here. We'll see. Only time will tell. But that really sort of caught me off guard this morning. I was not expecting that. I still don't really quite understand what the fundamental drivers are for bond market topping out and prices rolling over here. So that's still a bit of a conundrum for me. Wait, let's maybe just excuse me. Let's maybe just take a quick boo at some of these econs. See if something came out that's driving the market here. Where is my news? International econs. Yeah, this is a cute one. Let's do this. All right. So, German PMI. Jamie's going to have lots of fun talking about that. So, I would imagine that maybe, again, that should be actually bullish of bonds, not bearish of bonds. Durable good orders came in. They were forecast for plus 2.5%. Consensus was 1.5%, came in at 1.2%. So slight expansion there. The question, of course, is how much of that economic, how much of this data is being affected by that government shutdown last month? That's a tough one. And you know what I wanted to see? Maybe let's see if I can go like previous week. Okay, retail sales was total train wreck. So I don't understand why bonds would be falling there. University of Consumer Sentiment. That's interesting. So consumer sentiment actually came in a little stronger than expected. If we look at the trend, though, you can see the trend is not overly optimistic here. We'll see whether December's dip there in the chart is a one-off. But, you know, we now actually have two bars that are confirming that M there, so a little bit tough. You know, people are talking about the trade talks with China are going a little bit better. So maybe we are seeing some effect in the bond market about that. And then did anybody actually read the FOMC minutes yesterday? I know we were talking about it, and I saw that the markets had a bit of a knee-jerk reaction around that. So, you know, maybe while I'm sitting in the government offices today, I'll sit and read what the Fed said. So I don't know. I don't see the data other than maybe consumer sentiment is a little stronger than expected, but I don't really see the data that's really driving why the bonds are coming off here and interest rates are going up. But nonetheless, it is what it is. I'm sure we'll figure out what the reason is down the road. So there's sort of your interest rate picture. And as I said just a moment ago, we don't really have to worry about the Fed having to act here as the spreads are actually narrowing on the short end of the curve. So probably my hunch is the Fed's probably going to be on pause for quite a while here. But, you know, like I said, the one thing that has just caught me off guard here today, and I still need to wrap my head around it, is why are these yields bottoming here? If we pop on over to commodities, take a good look. This might be one of the reasons. Energy prices, of course, represent a huge chunk of inflation worries. And maybe the market believes that we have accepted back above these trend lines. And you can kind of see it's tilted, but there is an inverted head and shoulders that's working here. So maybe the market's anticipating that energy prices are going to go ratcheting right back up. And we sort of talked a little bit about that last week, that, sure hope you filled up your gas tank, because it looks like unleaded prices are heading higher. And what's interesting too is, you know, it's interesting how the bottoms sort of come in here in December, January. But you guys remember my old sort of commodities pitch when I was a broker, right? You buy your unleaded the middle of February, you sell it the middle of May, you made money in the past 10 years. So the point is that it looks like that seasonal trade is underway now. I'm wondering whether maybe the gold, I mean, look how wide these moving averages are. Maybe they're getting a little bit ahead of themselves here. And it's interesting how Thomas really wasn't that jazzed about silver. The silver stocks have broken out on the weekly basis, so they're looking like they're a lot happier. But yes, a bull, but choppy. I really don't like that shooting star. And actually, this is a great sort of testament to sort of Thomas's commentary yesterday that we're heading into significant resistance zone. This is going to take a lot of work to get up through the top here. We need to see some serious buyers step up. And my hunch is that we're probably not going to get that breakout just on the first push here.
I will
add something to that, Thomas?
Yeah, let me make a quick comment. I think that from what came out from the ECB and that they're going to start quantitative easing again in their own kind of way, I think that was a bit of a punch in the nose here for the kind of paradigm that everyone's expecting out of the market. And that just seems to be the trend here. You got a Fed that's going against pretty much what everyone thought they would do in January. And now you have the ECB coming out. I think what's happening is we're entering into an environment where a lot of these central banks are just like, fuck, if we don't put more money into the system, we're all going to collapse. And I think that when that happens, you have gold and silver take a hit because that's not really risk on scenario. That's like, okay, governments are going to bail us out. So why should I own gold? And I think that's what's happening today. And, full disclosure, I had a stink bid on some puts on the SLV that I forgot that I had them there and they got filled yesterday. At the end of the day, I got an email this morning like, oh, you have an SLV order. I was like, what the? Oh, shit. I forgot to take the damn thing off. But it's there. I'm filled and we'll see how it goes.
Well, I always say those that are lucky are good and those that are good are often very lucky. You lucky son of a bitch. And speaking of which, in the stock market, I got really lucky this morning. So anyway, I think on balance, we could probably just, keep this conversation really simple. That it looks to me like, and frankly speaking, I mean, this rally really kind of caught me off guard, but it looks to me like the gold market is bounded by sort of like this range here, right?
Can you put that on the daily? Because I think what I'm worried about as far as downside potential is that gold's just rechecking its sort of breakout that happened on Monday or Tuesday on a daily chart. There's like a W that came
on the daily. Let's see what we got here. 1 day. Well, so we're right up against that original top there.
Yeah, so like the 1320 area was sort of the sideways W, if you can imagine it, where the necklines, right at like 1325 or 26 and change.
Right in that. Oh, so this little action right in here?
No, just a little. Yeah, either that or the one that's just to the left of it and is the real like neckline. So down, if you take your mouse, go down, up, all the way up to like February. Yes.
Yeah, February. All right. So in here.
Yeah. So that's sort of the neckline right there at the top.
Right there.
There's your neckline. So imagine that's like a sideways W. There's your neckline. And the breakout happened like 2 days ago.
Okay.
So that's sort of the neckline that I'm looking at.
I suppose you could, you could just think Wyckoff here, right? Basically, market's like, and I suppose we could use clotheslines, right? Market's just sort of stair-stepping its way higher. So I could very easily, 13 EMA should be support. You can see how doink into there, and then it lost it, right? Doink into there. 13 EMA support, sort of support-ish right in here. So I wouldn't be surprised if this actually becomes a support here. But I got to say, no offense to all the gold bulls here, but I think I have to start thinking 50% rules. I mean, you guys have heard me, of course, recently. I can't chase this. It's against my religion. And probably, you can see the original double bottoms are like down in here. And notice Mountain Man's going to be off of those clotheslines, right? And there's sort of that same sort of conversation. You can almost see how the market sort of like, you can see the staircase here, right? If we go up, right? So there's your staircase. And frankly speaking, a check of that level seems completely realistic to me. And then, it might just be interesting just to, we'll put this back. We'll keep it on the chart and see how we do here going forward. I don't really, what I want to see is what's a 50% retracement here. Yeah, so again, I like the idea of the market coming down into your, it's right now it's probably checking this breakout here. Probably the next big battle will be this low and that high. But really, I think we probably need to come back down to this 1250, 1260 area. And that's a pretty big psychological level for gold too. And then the silver, sort of, it's little junior. Couldn't really get going, and I really wanted this thing to get going. I suppose there's a little bit of a tell here that this thing's not quite ready, in that this made a new low down here. So, this is a weekly chart. So we did not make a new high here. So probably, and you can see how she lost that breakout level, and now coming into, I guess, your neckline against these clothesline levels here. So we'll see how this goes. I was, full disclosure, I was interested in that AAG First Majestic, but I don't know. I decided to pull the weekly order and throw it in at the. So I've actually killed that order because I don't know whether this makes a heck of a lot of sense for a guy like me right now. And if I go down to the daily, I don't really have a problem with working stink bids right against the original bottom. You can see 50% levels right in those gaps there, right? So I think like I said, I pulled the bid just before the show because I just was like, I don't know, do I have to be a hero here? And if anything, this is classic Kevin and Joshua, gappy Kavarks down in reload zones with gaps in here. So, if I do throw my bid back in, I think I'm actually going to throw it in down here. And the fact that you're actually did, whether intentional or not, I don't know. But the fact that Thomas is actually short silver right now, I think I'm just going to cool my jets. I don't need to be a hero here. Okay, so that's sort of metals talk. I'm very interested in the fact that copper here actually was able to carve out this double bottom here. Just like the silver, though, a little suspicious because copper did go to new lows here. So I don't know. I mean, maybe we're in like a period of 6-8 months where the market just goes back and forth and drives people crazy. That's totally realistic, not really out of the question. If anything, we should probably keep a real close eye on what was that? PLM, I think it is. North American Palladium and Platinum. I used to trade that stock years and years ago. Where the hell would I have that? Well, maybe I have it just sort up here. And I don't know whether it's of any value to anybody or not, but this Galaxy Digital Holdings that we painted this bot on, it looks like it just hit its target. So, if you did take this trade, probably best to hop off.
Woo, go Mr. Novogratz.
Oh, is that his stock?
Yep.
There you go. And the interesting thing is okay, so now this actually makes sense because I see crypto's looking a little heavy here, and a lot of these little crypto-related stocks are, so the fact that he's actually had his objectives hit here, basically that's a win, right? So I don't know whether he took any profits there, but it wouldn't shock me. But PLM are, oh, is that what it is? PLM? So yeah. Actually, I used to have a guy who used to have a major position in this stock. But anyway, oh yeah, it just looks like a piece of shit now. That was forever ago. But anyway, North American Palladium. There it is. PDL. Oh, that was close. Holy Jesus H Christ. That's what I thought. Damn it. Look at that fucking stock, eh? Jesus Christ. So these guys are the biggest platinum and palladium stock company outside of Russia. Pretty much all of the platinum and palladium in the world is in Russia. So obviously way too late. Can't touch this thing now. That's too bad. But I did notice, wow, it looks like maybe they restructured the company recently. But wow, what a rally, eh? Holy Jesus. But anyway, I had noticed that, palladium, of course, has just gone absolutely crazy here. And, Mr. Putin must be exceedingly pleased. But I noticed now platinum is starting to turn back up here. So we might even want to be hunting platinum-related stocks and platinum-related names. I think there's one big platinum stock down in South Africa. So I'll be looking for that. Keep an eye out and see if the chart looks half decent. Commodities, nothing really to get too excited about. I know that some of the seasonal markets are turning here. It's interesting how the meat markets are still very, very strong here for the live cattle, but the feeders are mixed. Looks like sugar here is trying to turn back up. And I remember Raf, he was super jazzed about sugar and seasonal windows and stuff. So that actually makes a lot of sense. I suppose if you are interested, and I remember James, he actually did a really great trade on orange juice, I think back through this rally in here. So for those people that are interested in commodities, we might want to take a good look at orange juice call options, see if there's any TRISOF opportunities there. Looks like it's getting pretty cheap again. And then the grains, especially with the meats as strong as they are and live cattle went to new highs, that probably means that the grains are going to be a bit soft. There's my crazy goddamn soybean oil. It's strong, but everything else is like, you can see wheat's pretty weak here. The soybeans and stuff, I think they came off. Corn's actually not doing too bad. It's interesting here how hogs actually prices are weak too. Mind you, I heard that there's some interesting sort of fundamental drivers in the pork market right now. Of course, the Chinese, they eat a lot of pork. And I think down in South America, there was some sort of driver there. So that might explain sort of the fundamentals. But I have been hearing a lot of people say they're really jazzed about pork. So I don't know. We'll keep a close eye on that, but nothing really to get too excited about there. And I do have the soybean fund out of the back of my eyes, and so RSP stock people. I am sort of just watching that out of the corner of my eye. Where the hell do I have that? Right here. But, kind of a shitty trade location right here. If we could get a nice dip against these lows, I think I'd like to take a position. But this thing might just ratchet higher here. Not really the best way to play this market. And, the market that I really liked in that space was that crazy soy oil. And unfortunately, outside of the commodities market, it's very tough to take a position in soy oil per se. And then finally, crypto. Oh boy. Nice to see we're getting perk ups. We're coming into, moving average resistance here. We did have this Tron perk up, but you can see it's looking a little heavy again. But on balance, the trend, kind of like the US dollar, we're sort of floundering around here, but the trend hasn't really changed. As soon as we start seeing these moving averages actually start to turn back up, then we can feel a lot more comfortable that the bottom is in. But it's still a pretty big uphill slog. And I think somebody had asked me to look at like a really, really long-term moving average study on Bitcoin. I can't even remember what the numbers were, just crazy-ass numbers. And they sort of said the same sort of thing, that, gee whiz, the trend is still down, guys. Let's not get too excited. So, just let the colors set you free. And I see a whole bunch of red here, so I don't think we need to be pounding the table. Just a quick update on some stocks that I'm following. Actually, I don't have any positions in the broader market, just because I didn't really have anything set up for myself here. I do, a full disclosure, because this is a January option. I am more than happy just to leave this bid in here at January 28 calls, understanding the 50% level is 29.80. So this option should be worth about $1.80 or so. And because it's a world of time, I don't really mind if we get a pullback here against these lows to take a trade on this thing. So I'm just going to let that work. But I don't have much going on in the broader market. And, when it comes to like TRI SOFs, obviously you can see a bunch of up here, up, 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 up. So as a result, I just don't have any trades. I mean, I just don't have anything in the hopper right at the moment. The good part about it is Zach and I are meeting on a weekly basis, and he's constantly got ideas for me to chew on. If something does come along and I put my hard-earned money at work in the market, I'll be more than happy to tell all you guys. The sort of sexy part of the market of late, the good old pot stocks. Grim was pretty excited that he saw a little bottom come in on his Tilray yesterday. So way to go, Grim, on that. Obviously we can't chase these names, kind of like the gold market. This thing is actually almost completed its 50% retracement. And, if we do get the pullback down into reload zones, I'll take a look at it. But my hunch is I'm probably going to be looking at a different trade here. Now I think the latest series to come out now is October. So this trade idea is basically gone. It did its thing. Way to go if you took the trade, rock on. But I can't really consider buying it now. I suppose trades that are sort of midstream. This little pot stock is just working away, doing its thing. I was exceedingly pleased to hear a bunch of people on the site participated in this, so rock on. And hopefully, as we're speaking here, we see a nice little pop to move stop to scratch, and of course, move stop to trailing, and ultimately, it looks like the target still is good $6-7 up there. Right. I bailed out of this ISOL, and I don't know whether I even have a reason to be interested in this thing. It hasn't W'd yet. We really wanted to see a close above this level to confirm this W. So I don't know what's going to happen here. I did draw this original trend line here, but I don't know whether I really need to be a hero here. And if we're kind of thinking that the stock market's looking a little toppy, I don't know. Do I really need to step in here? It's a tough one. I'll say that. Right now I don't even have any bids or anything. I'm just sort of watching. Okay, so obviously, well, not obviously, but Brian got handed a really nice treat here this morning. I tweeted it out, posted in the lounge and stuff. Really, really good example. The blue line is the stock itself, and you can see the stock is just on fire. I think it made another new high this morning. That's the warrant itself. And hopefully everybody can understand the logic of why I was bidding where I was, and I got my fill. Way to go. Woohoo. And actually I sold half on a triple this morning. Woohoo. Yay. And really there's nothing left for me to do here. I'm just going to let this thing go, and who knows where the hell it might take us. So feeling very pleased with that performance. And as I said, I think the stock is making, okay, so it did make a new high today, but man, I mean, for heaven's sakes, nobody go out and buy this thing here. That's just asking for trouble. But tooting my own horn, way to go, Brian. Nice win. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. So, yay. Let's just put that back, everything the way it was. And the irony of it all is now I've got a free position on this thing. I'm probably best just to, just put this screen away and just let my money work. All right, nothing really else there I wanted to talk to you about. The crypto stocks. Remember, I'd said earlier I was a little bit, it's interesting that Novogratz guy's stock hit that upside target. I was wondering why I was following that stock. And people who played the Riot, I think they got handed a really nice treat here. If I'm not mistaken, I think these calls like tripled. So way to go, everybody, on that trade. Still lots and lots of room to go. The only question here is, does crypto need to pull back? And we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. Nothing really new trade-wise here that I need to report. I was actually exceedingly pleased to see that. I mean, this is like the boring part of investing, but, it's just the way the market goes. I've got one of the VCIM names that we came up with. They're in the aggregate business of all things. And you can see where I bought basically options to director, shares for debt, blah, 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 blah. And of course, just surged to new 52-week highs this morning. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. But this is under the heading of boring old man investing, right? This is basically investing in concrete related companies. I suppose if you're in the mafia, maybe that might be exciting. I don't know. But I was very pleased to see that she's pushing to new highs here. So old man screams at gravel. Anyway, so just tooting my own horn, but really good example of VCIM names just working their magic. Speaking of old man screams at gravel, old man screams at crude oil. Great idea there, Kevin. This thing just looks absolutely textbook. And we were seeing crude sort of break out there on the head and shoulders pattern. I don't know where the hell this thing's going to go, but hats off to Kevin for identifying this. Maybe if we're lucky. Mind you, if you're, and actually, I think you said you didn't get filled on your bid. So maybe if we're lucky, this is like a head and shoulders. We're coming into the neckline here, and maybe we have to dip back down one more time. And that'll give us the opportunity to get filled off of that gap. So we'll keep an eye out for that going forward. And I wouldn't mind joining Kevin on that trade. And actually, like the other oil stock that we're sort of watching, that was one of Zach's ideas. I think it's just keeps doing its thing. Yeah. I had a huge breakout yesterday, I guess 2 days ago. Outside upside key reversal, hugely bullish signal there. Just doing its thing. Clearly, these calls have doubled since we were first letting them down here. Should be on a free position now and just, let your money work for you. All right, so that basically is the stock market. We can't do anything on that guy there, but we'll keep him on the screen. I don't think there's anything else I wanted to talk about here. All right, so let's head on over to crypto. Now, there's a whole bunch of anecdotal evidence here that suggests that maybe we ought to just cool our jets. We had, really big sort of bought profit objective levels get hit recently. And also, too, and this is such a great commentary on why trade location is so important. There were guys in the sort of public chat rooms and doing videos and stuff that were all super excited to be bearish down here. And this is a horrible trade location, right? Because, this technically should, what should we be thinking about when we're in green boxes? So, being super bearish down here, to me, it just didn't make any sense at all. And sure enough, boom, 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 boom. Get the fuck out of here, all you crazy bears. And it's a cliche of the market, right? And when I commented to that gentleman, I even wrote on this chart, before any bullish bots or anything came in, I said, if I wanted to be short Bitcoin, where do I want to be short from? And now, of course, we're into red boxes. So really, it shouldn't surprise us one bit that we're running into major traffic here. I got too many notes here. Sorry, guys. Maybe we'll put that there. Maybe we'll put all that up there. We'll go like that there, something like that. Maybe we'll put a big arrow here. So, you know, if anything, this is a really good testament to hopefully everybody can see the AB equals CDs. I don't need to really draw out the bot levels here, but just hopefully we'll just sort of eyeball this. Boom, 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 right? So in essence, this was a huge profit-taking event right up in there. And, you know, especially new people to trading, you probably don't appreciate this, but I see this all the time, that we come into these objectives, and remember, this is a PRZ. Technically, this is actually a short trade location. But, you know, we're taking profits, ringing the register, ding, 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 whatever. And then the market goes and does this kind of shit, right? Up here, which is a horrible trade location to think about going long. You know, do I have my 3 lows to work with to try and frame my risk on the trade? No. And then, of course, you know, you did have beautiful turns through here. And, you know, those guys, like I said, they're exiting. They're not entering, they're exiting. So, you know, the tweets and stuff that I put out are like, okay, when bot objectives are hit, the best thing we're to do as just small fish in this, right? We don't push the market around. The best thing for us to do is just let the dust settle. And this is sort of that whole sort of dust settling report process, in that, you know, let's get some kids long. Okay, let's screw with their heads and wash them out. Okay, let's get them all thinking long again. All right, let's wash them out. I mean, the poor kids that are trying to call the market up in here, they must just be having like, you know, it must be like just major heartburn. Really, we got no business even thinking about doing a trade. This is exactly like that Litecoin that we talked about a week or two ago, where it came into a profit objective. And our best thing to do when you hit these profit objectives is just let everything settle down. And I still think we're in the process of trying to figure out what we want to do here. And like I said earlier, if we actually want to be thinking about, you know, what is sort of the overriding sort of trend, well, not trend's not the right word, overriding sort of professional trading sort of perspective here. Well, I mean, there's a couple really important things here. Number one, obviously, RLZs. Number two, somebody actually put a top in the bottom here, top in the bottom, top in the market up here. And so, in essence, as we come into these levels, they're probably adding to their shorts from whatever they did up here. Remember we said, market dumps, but institutions are not allowed to sell down markets. They have to actually engineer in that market. I'll get all the kids all rah bull, and the kids are all buying, and they're selling into those buy orders. Usually, the market likes to top like Tuesday, Wednesday kill zones. That's the usual, but nothing's written in stone in this game. And so as a result, in this particular case, it looks like the ultimate fuck you move was here through, I guess, last night, I guess. Are we already under the 21st here? Geez, time's just flying by. Yeah. So that actually came in through sort of like the Thursday London kill zone. And you might even argue, as sort of an aside, you might argue that, well, the reason why this happened was because Monday was a holiday and everybody was away. But anyway, you shake it. Clearly, we have an event here that this is now not only washed all the shorts. Anybody who shorted up here, they just got screwed. And they've also washed the longs. Anybody who bought through here and had their stops, they're screwed. So this actually looks to me like we're setting up like a diamond pattern here. So that's sort of what I'm going to be thinking for the next little bit. I don't know where we draw the bottom of the diamond from, though. This is a bit tricky. But I got a funny feeling that our price action over the next little while is going to look something along these lines. right? And if I'm not mistaken, I think Constantinople is coming up pretty soon. And if we pop on over to the, Ethereum, we see somewhat the same kind of pattern. A little bit more well-defined top. I mean, you can clearly see this is resistance. And I'm not quite positive exactly when the Constantinople event is coming, but it looks to me like they're setting up a trading range here for this event. All right, so people are saying, Julian's here. Hello, Julian. We got maybe about 10, 15 minutes left here, and then I have to hop because I've got a meeting over on the North Shore at 11 o'clock. So did you want to do a report today, or do you want to maybe pop in tomorrow? What are you thinking? Do you have a microphone?
Yes, I'm sorry. I fell asleep.
That's okay. Well, it happens. We are humans.
Yeah,
so
if you I can do tomorrow or I can do today, up to you guys.
Okay. I mean, I don't know how long you want to chat for, but okay. Why don't we finish off today? I've sort of told you a little bit about what I'm seeing with Bitcoin. I still think that we need to consolidate a bit up top here and actually see some structure come in for us to start thinking shorts. I just was finishing off with just sort of Ethereum is sort of parked up again. People who played the bot, they should be, out counting their profits. And right now we're just humming and hawing. And of course, the pros like Thomas, they're taking shots on the short side against these highs. Do you have a presentation? Is there anything in particular you wanted to talk about here today, this morning? Mr. Julian?
Nothing. Yep, I'm here. Nothing in particular. I mean, for me, a lot hasn't changed too much in the market. I mean, I've got some, if I look at like the regular market, the SPY and the GE, I've just got somewhat small topping patterns, but definitely nothing where I would take a concrete short off of.
Okay.
Bitcoin, as far as I'm concerned, is in a bullish uptrend on the daily. If you drill down to lower time frames, yeah, I mean, if you have people like Thomas, it makes sense that he's looking at shorts here. I don't know. I wouldn't have taken the short. I wouldn't take a short here. Actually, I would have taken it at the highs, maybe somewhere around 39.50, at least on the Coinbase chart.
I think he's playing primarily the Ethereum, but maybe we'll wait for Thomas to report on what he's doing tomorrow if he pops in.
Okay. If Ethereum is more volatile.
Is there any, did you want to screen share or show us any charts or anything along those lines?
I mean, I have them up. I can share my screen.
Yeah. I tell you what, why don't we hold off on your report? I'll just finish up what I'm chatting about here today. As I said, I got to wind this up here in about 10 minutes. Alex, are you pressed for time?
Yeah, I can't stay too long because I got to pick up Joanna from the doctor's then, but I still got...
Okay. Yeah, I don't have much to talk about anyway. Let me just check the Thai bot because I like talking about that. But everything else is kind of unchanged since last week for me.
Sure.
Okay, so if you could throw up your Thai bot, and as soon as you're done, maybe we'll end the broadcast with Julian's Thai bot review. The only other thing that I would add to this conversation today is, as I had said earlier, we came to the end of a move right across the board. Things look like they're sort of taking a bit of a pause. We have the big fundamental event. Does somebody have the date for that Constantinople event? I'm sure Thomas will talk lots about it.
Yeah, it's on the 27th. It's on the 27th.
Yeah, and I also heard that there's like ETF news and stuff as well there, right? Okay, so here is the 27th. We'll just sort of put the beginning of the 27th. So it's supposed to be over here. I don't know whether they're going to actually clean this thing up and bring the market back down to 38.2s, and, before that event. But, honestly, when I look at this, I see a narrow sideways channel. And guys, you want to take short shots against the highs and look to buy back against the lows. I think that's basically your trading range for the time being. The only other thing I was going to mention this morning is, yet again, there's lots and lots of anecdotal evidence of bottoms coming in across the Schultcoin space. And even this was the rally from the end of 2017, beginning of 2018. So basically, there is a year's bear. What do you think, guys? If I take a look at this thing at 800 sats, is it realistic for me to try and be able to get a double on a pop to say 1600 or so at some point down the road? Is that realistic? Is that asking too much? I don't think so. I think that's actually a very doable trade. So with that in mind, hopefully everybody can see the cute little W's that are trying to come in here. We'd ideally like to see a nice close above these levels here to confirm that. Of course, the week's still fairly young. Really like the look of OBV, and of course momentum, price momentum itself is pushing higher with Willie Stupid. Keep in mind, this is a weekly price chart. If we go down to the dailies, you can hopefully see, I don't know. And Colleen, this is where you get to shine. What do you think? Can you see any kind of WE pattern there? Anyway, hopefully the answer is, well, I sort of see one coming in off of that level where we went down, up, down, up, down, up, breakout, and away we go. So I actually threw in a bid to try and buy this on a pullback. And it was funny because Jamie was like, hey, you son of a bitch, you're like 1 sat ahead of me. But I'm actually happy to look to try and add to the position on that W. And so I've got a bid to add to the position down here. But the position's extremely small. Good old, 0.025 BTC kind of trades. So there's something for you to chew on in crypto land. Definitely don't have a problem working bids down against these, the reload zones down in here. Okay, why don't we finish off today's broadcast? And we got about 5-10 minutes left to the top of the hour, so I think this works well. What's going on in Thai bot land? Julian, you've got the floor.
Okay. First of all, apologize everyone for being late here. But I don't have, not much has changed for me. So hopefully, next week we have a little bit more action on the higher time frames that I can kind of talk about. The Thai bot is somewhat interesting. If we go to the weekly time frame, technically it's still in a downtrend. But the pause makes sense. Again, we went over the TD mark indicator a couple times, and I talked about it would probably pause at the 9 about 2 weeks ago, and it has basically just stopped here. And then if we go to the daily, I think I mentioned this. It broke out on February 7th or 8th. So yeah, I definitely talked about this last week, that we would get a pause, again, similar to the weekly, but we would also possibly get some sort of rebound. And we did get a bit of a rebound. I think when I did the show it was the 14th. And I said that, I could expect it to go higher, but because we're still in a bearish, so when the RSI is below this, what I call the VIP line, but it's really just the midpoint for the RSI. It's usually around between 48 and 50, depending on which stock it's applied to. Until we breach above this, I only expect sideways to bearish action, even with this breakout. But however, I wouldn't be shorting this here. I would be watching for, again, sideways action to see if we can get a bit of a breakout higher. So if we can break above 31.4, we can see a move much higher. I think the big thing we're waiting for, obviously, is the Thai election. I think that's going to have a significant impact. We'll depending on what happens there, the Thai bot will probably make a big move. You can see on the daily for the MACD, it is bullish, but I do need to see it push higher soon. Otherwise, we could have an M start forming on the histogram. But I like what I'm seeing with the other two signal indicators and what I'm seeing on my stochastic RSI, along with my normal RSI, to make the bullish case for the Thai bot. I would expect like I'd say over the next 2 weeks to see it kind of range here. I don't expect it. I'll be surprised if it goes much lower unless something happens with the government. So everyone in Thailand, I would stay in US dollars for now. No reason to be converting everything to Thai baht. Just stay in US dollars or whatever currency other than Thai baht you hold, and then hope that it does. Since this is a reverse chart, basically this is US and Thai. If this goes up, that means that the US dollar is becoming stronger versus the Thai baht. So I would hold off and hope that the Thai baht weakens so that when you convert over, you have a stronger conversion, and obviously then everything is cheaper. What else do I have to say? I like to update on the SPY. So just a pin prediction. I feel like tomorrow, just really quick, just because I'm looking at it. I don't know if you've talked about it, Brian, but we're range bound on the SPY on the 1 hour. It's again on all time frames. It's bullish biased. There's a bull bias, but we have this put wall here at 280. So I don't expect us to breach that level. I know last week we got some major news that caused it to breach the level that I didn't think it would breach, but that does happen 20 to 30% of the time. The other 70%, it does stay range bound. It also helps that 280 is kind of like a big resistance level if we go back to November of last year and also October. Yeah, so tomorrow expect to pin somewhere. The max pain level from what I can see is about 278. So I mean, and look, we're exactly at 278 right now. I would expect a pin somewhere between 277 and 279. So for anyone who watches the major index, SPY, S&P 500, that's my little prediction for tomorrow.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And that's really all I've got. I mean, again, on the SPY is still bullish.
How's your RSI looking on the old Bitcoin?
Bitcoin? I did have a Bitcoin chart pulled. I switched it to Ethereum, but let's see Bitcoin. Why is my B not working? Let's just pick it here. The B on my keyboard is not working for some reason. Okay. Daily. It just looks bullish to me. I mean, we can draw a second one here. Yeah, just full on bull mode.
Right on.
I go to the 1 hour. I mean, on the 1 hour, obviously it's softened, but I personally wouldn't be going short off just a 1 hour chart. I need to trade with the trend. And right now, from what I can tell, the trend is bullish. Even the histogram here, sometimes I check it to see, okay, does this confirm what the RSI is saying? And yeah, we have higher highs. We don't have any lower lows. We don't have any divergence here. Yeah, I wouldn't be personally shorting Bitcoin here unless for anything less than like a quick scalp.
Cool. All right, you've got the word, people. RSI is pointing up, and probably a little bit early for us to get too aggressive on the short side.
Yes.
All right, cool. Okay, so that is the top of the hour. Thank you very much for your report, sir. I appreciate it. Go back to bed. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
I think we'll probably just leave it at that. Like I said, I have to be over in the North Shore in less than an hour here, so I got to go get pretty for all the bureaucrats. So thank you very much, Julian, for an awesome quick little update on Thai baht and the SPY and BTC. Mr. Mayor, what do you think? Did we give these guys any value here today?
Sure, like always.
Awesome. All right. We've got the mayor's blessing. All the best wishes to the wife. I hope she does okay at the hospital there. Thank you very much, everybody, for your participation on the site. And Reza and Shane have a special treat for us. We have to upload all the files and stuff. But we actually, last night, we had a really nice meal here in Vancouver at a place that Shane picked up for us. And we got serenaded Bitcoin songs. So get ready for mariachi band singing Bitcoin songs on the TRI Daily Briefs. Music videos coming. Yeah, so Jamie, you're going to get off the hook here because we got a mariachi band now singing. All right, guys, why don't we leave it at that for today? Hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Play from a position of strength. Don't take no wooden nickels, yada, yada, yada. You've heard it all many times before. Keep on keeping on. We're all students of the market. Remember what your number one job is. And the only thing left for Brian to say at this point is a big bye for now.
Bye, everybody.